everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and to another project for Country Craft Creations. This is a wallet folio that has a finished size of 8.5 by 4 1/4 and is a 1/2 inch thick. I will show you more details of this in just a little bit, and also stay tuned for the tutorial. For this retro men wallet folio that I'm going to show you how to make, I'm going to go real quick some of the supplies and tools that I will be using. So first up, of course, I'm using the exclusive paper collection called Retro Men that you can only order from Country Craft Creations. So I'm using the 12 by 12 size of the collection pack. You get lots of paper in this collection. For this project, though, we're only going to be using 5 of the 12 by 12 sheets, but we'll also use 2 of the ephemera so that we can cut out the fishing elements, and we'll use 1 sheet of the cut apart cards because I'm only using the fishing theme type papers and elements that come in this collection. So you're going to use that, and then I'm going to use 1 sheet of black artisan cardstock for constructing the book, but you may want an extra sheet. So let's go ahead and say 2 of the black so that you can have some formatting or photo mats. And then on the craft, we need 5 sheets to make the booklet. If you want extra for the photo mats or anything, then you might want to add an extra sheet. So at the most, probably 6 sheets of that. Also, I'm going to use 4 buttons. Now, these are from Country Craft Creations also. These are the brown. You can get them in the different theme color sets. You get a lot of buttons in the package. So I'm using 4 buttons. I'm also using button string, which is jute string that you can order from Country Craft Creations, and I'm using the avocado green color. And then we're going to need, of course, our art glitter glue that you can order from Country Craft Creations. Your tools, you want a trimmer, a 12 by 12 for 12 by 12 papers. Your scoreboard, your scoring tool, whatever you like to use, a ruler, a pen to do some marking, a bone folder. I like to use a Teflon bone folder. You'll want a 3/4 inch circle punch. You may, this is optional, want a punch that makes photo corners. You're going to need a corner rounder, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch. So this is the one I'm going to be using. And also, you're going to want an angle punch to make a tag. So this is the angle punch that I will be using. You'll want some scissors. This is optional. I'm going to add to my front cover a lure that I picked up at the fishing shop. Be sure if you use a lure, it's very important that you take some really heavy pliers or cutter and you remove any barb or hook that might be on your lure. So this is an actual fishing lure, and I'm going to attach it on with a jump ring, and of course you'll need a couple of pliers to do that. I'm also going to be using the mini envelope punch board. You can use a circle punch or thumb notch punch if you want. This will be on the pocket, so you want something like that. So I think that covers everything that we probably will need. If I think of something else, I'll show you that in the video. So let's get started. To create this wallet folio album, I used craft cardstock for the main pieces and then some black cardstock. And I used artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. It's a 12 by 12 size. So this is the craft. There is a cutting list that you can click on in the description of my video. It'll take you to a Google Doc, and then you can just print it up and have that to follow along. But I'm going to run through them real quick. The first piece you need is an 8.5 by 4 1/4. Just need one of those. Then you need two 8 by 8.5, two 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, two 4 1/4 by 5.5, four 4 15/16 by 4 3/4. The reason for the 4 15/16, you want it just a hair under the 5. So if you'll put your cardstock at the 5 on your trimmer and just back it off a tiny bit, not a full 8, but a tiny bit, you'll get the size you need. Out of the black cardstock, I've cut one piece for the inside matting of the wallet folio, and this piece is 8 3/8 by 4 1/8. So we're going to set it aside. We're also going to set our base piece aside, which was the first one we cut. That's 8.5 by 4 1/4. We will not be doing the scoring on those, but we're going to get ready to score these other pieces now. So using your 12-inch scoreboard and your scoring tool, look at your cutting list, which is linked in the description box of this video. And the first piece we're going to score is our 8 by 8.5. So there's your 8.5. Make sure you're putting the 8-inch side at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch and double check that just a second. 1/2 inch. So yes, score at a 1/2 inch and 4 1/4. So it's going to make one section a little bit smaller. Just double check that. Okay, so we'll do that on both of those. Make sure you're putting the 8-inch in at the top. Score at a 1/2 inch and 4 1/4. Next, we're going to take our 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 pieces. We have two of those. We're going to put the 6 1/4 in at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch and 1 inch on both of these. 6 1/4 at the top, score at a 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Next, we take our two pieces that are 4 1/4 by 5.5, and we're going to put the 5.5 at the top, and we're just going to score at a 1/2 inch on both of these. 5.5 at the top, score at a 1/2 inch. Now our last four pieces are the 4 15/16 by 4 3/4. So take your ruler to make sure you're doing the correct side. We're going to put the 4 3/4 at the top. So that's my 16th. So I'm turning it so that my 4 3/4 is here. So we put the 4 3/4 side at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. Now we're ready to take our cardstock pieces and fold on the score lines and burnish. So you're going to take your bone folder and really burnish the fold lines. And it's usually easier with the artisan cardstock. It really doesn't matter, but I tend to fold on the bumpy side of the score line. So you just go ahead and fold and burnish all your pieces, all the lines on all your pieces, and get them ready to assemble. You will notice on these pieces, these two here, you have double score lines. That's so that we will have a 1/2 inch space for all our sections that will be folded inside of the wallet folio. So once you do that, you're going to have a space like that. So just go ahead and fold those and burnish, and then we'll be ready to assemble the book, the wallet folio. So take your craft base piece, which is your 8.5 by 4 1/4, we'll lay it down, And we're going to take these pieces and they're going to attach one on each side. And I'm just double checking here how I want it to fold up. Okay, so we're going to put one here at the top. So fold back the 1/2-inch space. Take your art glitter glue and just put glue on that 1/2-inch like that. And then we're going to line it up on the top piece of the space. So you want the fold of the hinge or the attachment flap right along the cut edge of your base piece. Make sure it lines up on both ends and is lined up here on the ends and along the edge. So then we're going to burnish that. Make sure you put the other one on the other side of your base piece. So I'm going to put my glue on the back side of my attachment hinge on the 1/2-inch section. And we're going to lay that down the same way. Just make sure everything lines up. Just take your time. You got a little bit of wiggle room with the glue. If you want to use score tape, that's fine, but for my area, I find that the score tape can come loose, whereas the glue does not. So this is going to fold up into our base piece. Let's see here. Oh, I think I put it on the wrong side. I know I did. So let me take this loose real quick. I don't know why I do that. I've done that before. So that's going to be okay. It's going to be covered. Just make sure that it's on the side of your base piece. This is where your fold is. So it shouldn't have been there. It should be here. I don't know how I get those twisted up. So don't do what I did. Make sure, if you have to, write the word base on the actual base piece right here, so that you're gluing it in the correct spot. So I got it twisted around, but I saw it in time when I went to fold it up. So now we burnish that really good. So yes, where I pulled it off, you've got some paper there that you don't want. Some of that will come off, but it will be covered by pattern paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull some of that off right now so it's not so thick. Okay, so I apologize for that. So this is your base. This folds in, this folds in. This one goes down and that one comes like that. So when it's folded, it has an offset like that. Okay, so let's open it back up. Here is the base piece. The next piece that we put on are the two pieces with your 1/2-inch space. And those are going to go right here on the end of your base piece. And it should fit right between the fold line, not the hinge, but the fold lines. So flatten this down so that you just see your 1/2-inch flap. Put glue on it. And we're going to attach this on the inside. The fold goes to the cut edge. Just make sure it's between the score lines. Nice and straight on the edge here. So here you want that to come up and this to be able to come up. So burnish that down. And then once you've got it burnished on, you will refold that second score line so it has a 1/2-inch space right there. And that one needs burnished just a little more. Okay. Okay, looks good. Then we take the other one. Same thing, flatten it down so you only see your 1/2-inch flap. Put your glue on the 1/2-inch. Attach it to the right side. The fold right along that edge. And make sure you're within the score lines. Okay, burnish it. And then refold that second score line so you have this space like that. Now this actually folds down inside of that like this. Okay, so that's why we needed that extra room in there. Now we open this back up again, and we only need to focus on these wings out here. So we take the two that are your, should be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 that have got the score mark. I'm going to double check to see how they fit. So they fit on this flap that's opened out here on the ends, and we'll be gluing it to the end of it, and it should be just a little bit shorter than your score lines here. Okay, so you have your 1/2 inch attachment flap. Put some glue on that back side there. Attach it down here on the right with this one opened out along the cut edge. Match it top and bottom, and the fold right along that cut edge. So make sure they match up pretty good. Burnish that. Fold that up. Slide over here. Whoops, do the same thing here on the left one. So you see your flap is opened out. Put glue on that 1/2 inch back side. Right along the edge. Make sure they match top and bottom. All the way across. Burnish. Okay, so now we have that. Now we're going to work on one side at a time, so let's do the right one. We're going to open this flap up completely. We're going to take 2 of the 4 remaining flaps, and we're going to attach one to the top right here, and then one to the bottom. So flip it over so you see your 1/2 inch attachment flap. Put your glue on. Let's attach this one to the top edge. The fold of this one goes along the top edge. Make sure it's matched up on the top and the sides so that it's not over that fold line. It should match up pretty good here. We got it cut right, and we're going to burnish it. So it's an exact match of this one that you're just putting it on. And then we open it up, and we're going to attach another one here at the bottom. Same way. Glue on that 1/2 inch. Line it up to the outer edges. Make it straight. Right there. And just lining it up correctly. Taking my time, make sure it lines up best I can, and burnish so that this folds up like this. Okay, and you might have to do some burnishing to make sure it folds up. So that folds into this other one, which then folds into the main piece here. Now we slide it over, we open this up, so we have the last flap way out here. So we're going to do the same thing. Glue on that 1/2 inch. Line it up side to side. And I kind of tend to go to the outer edge to make sure it matches up good. And then put this last one on here at the bottom. And then on the inside of the base, line this one up first really good. Okay. So this one folds up. Okay. So when we open this up, here where it says base, I have the black that I cut 8 3/8 by 4 1/8, and that's just a mat that's going to go here in the center. Kind of gives it some more strength, and I did it in black to kind of show off the pattern paper that we're going to use with the Retro Min, or whatever color cardstock you want to use if you're using a different pattern paper collection. And so this fits right in within those score lines. The top, the two sides And I'm trying to make them even. They don't go exactly, but they do go almost to the score line. And then we burnish that. Okay, so that is the wallet folio. So it folds up. Got your offset here at the bottom. This comes over. This one comes over. And then we're going to make a string closure here. And then we can also add a set of a magnet right here for the center one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just add the magnet here to the center. So I want the magnet to hit on this one and this one. So I have my plus and minus attached together. So peel the backing off. And I'm going to put this in the center, about 3/4 of an inch down in the center as best you can, and pull the backing off the other half of the magnet. Attach them down. Like that, then open it, and then take your clear tape, or you can use score tape, and cover your magnets up. Cover them up completely. Oops. It seems to help keep the paper from showing through as much around the edges. There we go, like that. So it's important to add these magnets before you actually do any pattern of your paper. Now I'm going to be adding my patterned paper off camera. You can cut it out for each section that you know, the patterns that you want. I cut mine 1/8 of an inch shorter in the height and 1/8 of an inch shorter in the width of each section that I'm adding patterned paper to. If you want a bigger cardstock border around yours, then you can cut yours down 1/4 of an inch, or if you want even less, then it would be like just 1/16 of an off, but that's pretty close. Now this is going to be held closed with a string wrap closure, and I will show you how to do that after I've done all the patterned paper, but you do need to attach it to this piece, these two pieces, before you glue your papers down. So when I get to that point, I will show you that. Okay, so go ahead and cut out your patterned papers that you want for each section, and go ahead and glue them on, except for these two on the very top. Don't glue those on just yet. I've selected and cut out all the patterned papers for my wallet folio, and I used a repositionable temporary adhesive to kind of keep them in place so that I know where I'm putting them. So I'm going to show you that real quick, and then I will show you how to make your closure, string closure, and then I will off camera attach mine down permanently, and then we'll I'll finish it up with some decorating. So anyway, on the front here I chose this pattern here. It is on the back side, it has these images, but I wanted this blue check, or not check but plaid. So I cut it so that I have it here on the front, 2 spaces, the sides and the back. So remember, everything is cut. Just measure and cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than the width and the height on all sections. So when I open it up in here, I have this plaid, and then for this flap I have the fisherman and the kids in the boat with the fish. And then when we open this up, we see the blue check, and then this folds down, more blue check. This folds up. Let me slide it here. So I have just the back side of this paper. The back side here is the fish, the plaid here, and then I have the fishing in the boat. And I've planned it so that when I cut it on both the bottom one here and the top one, so that it's kind of continuous, even though we have that fold in there. Okay, and then on the sides here, of course, we got the plaid, and then I have the blue from the My Colors. That's the called Tropical Splash, and then I've used some of the blue plaid as scraps here, and I pieced these two together. So if you don't want to cut into new papers, then piece them like this. So that's how I did those. When this opens up here on this side is the same on the left. It gets really big. I can't show you in the whole camera, but I use the boxwood green, the dots here, pieced this section here, and then I use the green again and this check here. And it's, I'll show you, it's the same. Hold this up. It is the same on this left side right here. Okay, so you see that? Exactly the same. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now we're going to show you how to do the string closures. So you're going to need a circle punch. For some reason I have this wrong here. Yeah, I covered that wrong. I put my plaid in the wrong section. You want to make sure you're putting it where the stand-up side is, and this goes over this way. There we go. So when I put it down permanently, it'll be okay. So it kind of made it curved there, and I'm like, why is that? Okay. So to create the string closures, first of all, I marked where I want to attach them here on each piece of paper. So take these off. These are not, you put it on before you attach this down because you don't want to go all the way through your cover. So this is the left one, this is the right one. I have about 24 to 30 inches of green button string, jute string, the thin kind that you can order from Country Craft Creations. I have two brads. These are kind of a silver color. I have my crocodile for the smallest punch. I have two scraps of paper. I have a scrap of the cardstock, a scrap of the blue and black check, and I have my 3/4 inch punch. So I'm going to punch 2 holes out of the cardstock because I like to double up to make sure it is strong enough to last, and then 2 of the check here in the black and blue with the 3/4 inch punch. Then I go ahead and take my art glitter glue and I glue these together, one of the patterned ones to a cardstock one. Glue it like that. And then we're going to punch the holes in the center with the smallest punch. Just eyeball it so it's in the center. Of each circle. And these smaller circles can be a little tricky. You have to try to hold it and without punching, kind of hold it in there and get it to where you're pretty sure it's the center. That's close enough. Now we're going to punch the hole in our paper if we're able to reach that far. Not quite far enough with this crocodile. So, a big one here where it will reach, and I'm using the smaller hole. So I'm just lining it up and punching it. So there is a purpose for having 2 different ones, of course. And I just put that over where the mark is and punch it down. And then I take my circles and I place them here. And I'm just going to open the prongs on the back. So you put one on each side like that. Okay, so there's those. And now all we need to do is add the string. I'm going to go ahead and glue these on. So this is my left side. I'm going to open this up so I can get it on nice and flat here. Make sure we line it up on the edges at the top and the bottom and the side here. Don't go over the fold. So if you cut it 1/8 of an inch both directions, it should fit really nicely and not go over your fold lines. And burnish that down. You see how that will turn like that. Then we close it up, and then we'll go to the other side and we glue this one on. And line that up just like we did the other one. And burnish. Okay, and then we'll add the string. Close that back. Just like that. So now the string goes on there. So this is the one I want it permanently attached. I'm using the green. And I'm just going to go under. And I'm going to tie it into a loop. And pull it onto that brad, and I bring it around and I tie another loop and pull it so that it goes underneath that circle, just like that. Okay, so that one's permanently attached, and I'm going to go ahead and reach under here with my scissors and snip that excess off so that it's really not showing much right there. Okay, so there's that. Now, if you wanted it doubled, you could have doubled this. We can tie another if we want, and I think I may do that. So I'm going to pull this. So I have about 10 inches here with the double. And I'm going to circle this around, and I'm going to tie it in a knot also, into a loop knot. Right there, pull it tight. And do it one more. So see, I just take the tail, I make a loop, and then I pull it through the loop. And that pulls it in underneath there. And then that's what I cut off the tail here. Okay, right there. Okay, so now we have it doubled, and I'm going to bring this down here where the loop is for the double, and I'm just going to tie a knot. So tie the two together. And I may do 2 knots. Make sure they line up, the 2 knots together, so it's extra thick there. Okay, and now this will wrap over these two like that. Oops. Pull it a little tighter. There we go. Now if you want this shorter, just, tie it a little bit shorter with your knots, which I'm going to do just like that. And so that hangs like that. So there is the front done. Of course, I will be adding something, like I think I may cut something out or look at the embellishments, the cut aparts for this collection. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all the rest of this down, and then I'll be back and show you what I've done. So I have all my pattern papers glued down, and I've gone ahead and started planning the elements that I want to add to this. I'm going to keep this pretty flat. While fishing can be certainly for a lady, this one's going to be more for a man, because my husband's the one who likes to fish. So I'm just using, for this folio, wallet folio, I'm just using the fishing cut aparts from the collection, from the Retro Men collection, which is exclusive by Country Craft Creations, but I'm only using the things that apply to fishing. So like here we have the Gone Fishing cut apart with the guy in the boat, and then the tackle box says fishing gear, and the Gone Fishing in the circle with the fish. So these aren't attached down. I'm going to be going ahead and speeding up the camera and attaching these down, but I want to show you this is the placement. I kind of attached them down with the temporary tape, so that I can see how I like it. I'm also going to add some buttons here. This is a pack that came in my design team package, a pack. See, all these buttons came in a pack from Country Craft Creations. I opened them up and went through them. So you can order different color sets. I think this is brown. There may be a special name for that. I'll try to look that up and put that in the description. But I selected 4 that were alike, and then I used some of the green button string and tied some string in it. So those are going to glue on each corner of this to kind of give a little dimension, but not a whole lot. So that's going to be the outside, and I'm going to go ahead and work on that, and then I'll do some in the inside. I've also punched out some from the pattern paper and from the black cardstock with a Martha Stewart punch for these corner mats, photo corners. So I may use those. It punches it out and gives you the faux line so that you can just glue down the back side and you can slip a photo in that. So that I may use that inside. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video and mat these down and then start on the inside. I've attached my elements from the paper collection to the front of my wallet folio, and I've added the buttons with this thread strung through it in an X here on each corner. And I already have the string closure here, but on this I have this loop, and I want to add, this is optional, but I thought it'd be really cute to add this fishing lure. Now this I picked up at the fishing shop. I like the smaller size ones. And then it also had a barb or hook here on this side and this side. So I was able to take a real heavy duty pliers and twist those out because you don't want anything sharp on a folio or album. So then I have a silver jump ring here, and I've got 2 pliers. Now to do this, I'm going to attach it with that onto the string. So I'm going to find the opening of my jump ring. Sometimes they're hard to see. I think that's it right there. Whoops. And I'm going to put a pair of pliers on here. So I'm holding it with these 1 pliers and then take another one on the opposite side, and you just gently turn it to the side so that it opens that up. Then I'm going to hook this through, and then I'm going to hook it onto the string, the loop here. Take the second pliers again and grab it and then twist it back so that they're matched up and closing. And I'm going to double check it and look at it really well and make sure that it's got a really tight in there. You don't want the string to be coming pulling out. So just double check that, make sure it's lined up and closed up. And so there's your lure attached to the bottom of your string closure for your Gone Fishing wallet folio. So I'm ready to go ahead and start working on the inside. Now I'm ready to add the elements to the inside of my wallet folio, and I have already pre-cut some things out and used a removable adhesive to kind of hold them in place so I know what I'm doing. So let's start on these 2 fold ends. When you open up your book, this is the outer cover, so you open this up, we've got these 2 spots here. So a fussy cut out of the elements of the boat with the man and the children in this design here, and I'm going to glue this down on the left corner, and I'm making it a tuck spot. So let me grab my glue here and make sure I'm putting it in the right spot. Make sure I'm putting it in the right spot. So I look at it and I turn it over. So I want it on this left side back. So just put some on the side here kind of. And I'm going to attach this down here in the left bottom corner. Let that dry. And I've cut, for both sides, I've cut 2 black cardstock photo mats. So I'm going to go ahead, this is fussy cut out in a circle, the Gone Fishing with the Fish, same as the one that I had on the front. So I'll put my glue here. I just wanted both of these to kind of mirror each other but have different elements on each side. So these two pieces are both cut out of the scraps I had 4 by 3 3/8. So I have those, and I think that I'm going to round the corners on these. So I have my 1/2 inch corner rounder. Just going to open up these wings and stick that in and round all 4 corners. And I'm leaving this in the black for photos. So you could put a photo on the front and the back of this photo mat. So it's not going to be attached down. It's just going to go in into the tuck spot here. Make sure that dries. So that sticks in there like that. So you could actually put a photo on the page and also on the photo mat. Okay, so here in the center, I'm going to make a tag and I'm going to make a pocket. So I cut out of the blue paper of my colors, the Tropical Splash, I believe it's called. I'm just cleaning off that excess removable stuff. Okay, so this is the pocket, and it's going to be, I cut it to 3 3/4 by 3, actually it's 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. So I just want to make sure I clean all that off. Don't want anything sticky on there. I want this to be a pocket. And I'm just going to put glue on the sides, top and bottom, and then across one end. So this is a flat pocket, and it's going to attach down right in here. To center it like that. Push it up a little bit. There we go. So this is a pocket, and then of course I want on top of it this piece here of the fish. So I just cut it 1/8 of an inch shorter both directions, and I'm going to put the glue on the back and mat this down. To make the tag, I took a scrap of the black cardstock, and it is 5 by 2 1/4. So you can make it as long as it fits in the pocket, whatever size you need. And then to mat it, I'm using this blue check, and so it is 2 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to angle punch. Grab that one end here on the mat, and then also on the pattern paper. And then I'm going to round the bottom, the 1/2 inch, round the bottom 2 corners on both of these. And then I'm going to glue this on the top. I'm going to leave the back side black. So let me get this out of the way. Just grab my glue, put glue on the back side here. Touch this down, kind of center it, get equal spacing around the edges here, especially on the side, the top and the bottom, and then burnish that down. So that is my tag, and now I need to make the holes. I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch punch and some scraps. I think I'll use the solid blue if I have a small piece. This will work. And I'll punch a hole. And then I'm going to glue this right here. A little bit of glue kind of right here in the center of it, up towards the top. And then I'm going to take my hole punch, and I'm going to use the large size, And I'm just going to center that right in there and punch. Okay, so there's the tag. And I will, of course, add some ribbon. So that's just going to slide into that flat pocket right there. And of course, you could put a photo there. Now, the rest of these, this is just a square scrap of the green. I'm going to mat that down, and that's 3.5 by 3. You can use whatever size you have. This one up here is a Black and Craft photo mat. So the black is 4 by 3, and then I made the craft just a little bit smaller. This is going to be a flip up, and I'm probably going to put some string on this to tie. And this was a piece that was the black. The black piece is just a smaller piece. That's 3 3/8 by 2 5/8, and then the craft, get that fold, is about 6.5 by 2.5, and then I folded it in half, and then I added this mat, the scrap here, that's 2 3/8 by 2 7/8. So you look at your scraps and see what you've got. I did forget I was going to punch this with my punch board, and I have forgotten, so I'm just going to leave it squared off. So if you want to, you would punch each piece with this little punch board. I forgot, so I apologize for that, but I don't want to tear this up to do that, so I'm going to leave it that way. I don't know if I want to punch it on this one or not. I don't think I do, so I'm going to leave everything just the way it is, so I won't be using my little punch board. So I'm going to speed this up and mat all these down, and like this one, I will probably put a string here on the back. Always like to have plenty so I can tie a good looking bow. You don't want to scrimp. So I'm going to bring this around the back, kind of in the center, and then I will tie this. In the front before I glue it all down. Just tie that right there so that you can untie it, and then I will tie a knot in each end here and here. So that's what that's going to look like. So I'm going to speed all this up and glue these down. A few more details about what I'm doing here on this inside portion. Here on the tag, I did take some of the black seam binding ribbon from Country Craft Creations, and I threaded it through. I wrinkled it and crinkled it first with a spritz of water because I wanted it. I don't want a big bow, so I just tied it in a knot through that. So this is the tag that fits inside like that. And then I fussy cut out from scraps this image here and just made a tuck spot. So right now I am making a mat to go under that. So this is cut 3.5 by 3 1/8, and I made the black mat just about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the craft. So I'm going to glue these together, and this is going to just tuck in that. And I did round the corners of both the craft and the black with my 1/2 inch corner rounder. So I just wanted this to stand out some. So that's for a photo, and that's just going to slide in right there under that. This one here, I wanted to dress it up some. Punched out the black corners. That's with my Martha Stewart photo corner punch. You may have a different brand or something like that that you can use, or you can just cut little triangles of paper. But I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on each flap that's on the back of this to attach it on to the over this green mat here. So I'm just going to line them up on each corner. Try not to be too terribly messy with all this glue. It does dry clear, so that's a good thing. So this way, a photo can just be inserted into that. So I've got these corners on. See if you can see them. Tilt it. I did it off camera because it gets a little fiddly there, getting the glue, getting those pressed down. But I'm also going to do it up here. So these were punched out of plaid, scrap of the plaid here. So what I do on these, I just turn them over. My punch makes this flap, that folding flap, and I just put 2 dots on each flap of glue. And then I line it up here along with the black edge here. And then you take your bone folder and you burnish that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 on this and get that done. So after putting the corners on, I did some fussy cutting out of this little tackle box, is out of the cover sheet that you can also use. It's made out of the Bristol paper. So I cut that one out of there if you want a smaller element. And then this was cut out of the scrap of paper. So I loosely fussy cut the fish and then glued this to the front of that under the bow. I think that's all that I added on, the corners and the mats here. And that's all the decorating I'm going to do for the inside. I want to leave these other areas plain. I've got the pieced areas here and here. So I'm going to leave those like that, and then these will be for photos. So I don't want a lot of thickness in there, so that is what I've added in. Whoops. So these fold back up like this and down, and the magnet catches. I have to really press down on it, and then this closes up like this. So that is my tutorial of my Retro Men fishing version, and it's version 1 of a wallet folio. I'll be making a different wallet folio with some more of this paper collection, not just the fishing, and I'll have that up on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. Click on the bell so you know when I have another video up. Click on like so that others in their search will be able to find my projects. And also check out Country Craft Creations. Remember, this is an exclusive paper line. If you like this Retro Men, it's only available at countrycraftcreations.com. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.